Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. The Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. This is episode 85, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. Happy 2016, everybody. My name is Zachy Hassan, and joining me once more is my good friend Brian Hall.
Hey, what's up, Zachy?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah,
I'm living in 2016. I'm a little sad that 2015 is in the rear view, but I'm raring ahead. I'm facing into the horizon.
yeah, I hear that. I think I said this on the last episode, but yeah, 2015 was such like a weird thing. Like that's a number, a year that's been in our consciousness for a long time that has represented the future. And I do remember getting like a little giddy thrill writing my first check, you know, when it was dated 2015. And it is very weird, as you brought up during our Back to the Future commentary or episode, that now the future is now the past.
Yes.
So coping with that.
we're coming to terms.
Yeah, I just wrote my first check with 2016 on it, and I was like, eh.
It doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
It's okay.
well, luckily, Brian, 2016 does promise a whole slew of high-profile movies coming up.
This is true.
It's going to be a fun year. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up, and I'm already looking forward to talking about Batman versus Superman in a few months.
I know,
and then from then to the end of the year, basically a big new release every other week or so.
You know, and it's funny too because I mean we're going to get into this obviously with Star Wars, but I kind of forgot we got another Star Wars movie coming in less than a year.
That's true,
right? And people are already talking about it. And I think Fandango put out some sort of list that was talking about the most anticipated movies of the year, and Rogue One was number one. And I was like, oh yeah, like, all right. So we get to do this all over again next December.
I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and the break has just ended. The holidays. How were your holidays?
Very nice. Very nice. We were talking about it a little bit. Very busy. I had family out, had friends out, and I was entertaining quite a bit. But it was great. It was great seeing everybody. Really good time. So, how about yourself?
Well, it was busy, and busy is good, busy is bad. This was a little bit of both. But disappointing thing for me was I didn't get a chance to really get out and watch any holiday movies or any Christmas time releases. How did you fare on that front?
I did pretty good, actually. Some of them, this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler for our top list, but I got to see The Hateful Eight, and I only bring it up now because it didn't make my top 10. Did you see The Hateful Eight?
I did not see The Hateful Eight, and this was not for lack of trying. There were actually 2 press screenings that I had gotten invitations to, and that I made. I had every intention of going, and I just wasn't able to. And then I tried to go to the theater. And the problem is, this is actually the same problem I have with Christopher Nolan films, is that you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to catch The Hateful Eight today. It's like, no, I need to look at my calendar and my day planner and say, do I have 5 hours?
This is very true.
That I can devote to this endeavor, right? And, my thing is like, well, I have little children in the house, and and my wife is busy enough without me being like, hey, listen, I'm going to be off the grid for, from 12 to 6 or whatever. So, unfortunately, Hateful Eight, I missed. I didn't see the Roadshow version. I didn't see any version. I understand there's lots of killing and swearing in it, though.
Oh yeah, cussing and fussing and fighting. Yeah, this was really interesting because I am a Tarantino fan. I wouldn't call myself a fanboy. Like I'm not.
You're a fan man.
I'm a fan man. I was gonna say I'm not. I don't like go out and proselytize Tarantino to people and whatever. I mean, there's things of his I like and things of his I don't like as much. But he is always a guaranteed ticket for me. Okay. I'm going to watch everything this guy does. And Hateful Eight, I went and saw the Roadshow presentation, which was really cool. I went with it was really interesting experience because I went with a group of friends, and half of them knew exactly what this was and were really into it and interested. And I went with one friend who was just along for the ride. So I got to kind of experience it from like different perspectives. Uh-huh. And the guy comes out and announces it, and he goes, "Okay, so this is a 3-hour, 20-minute presentation." And my friend was like, "What?" I was like, well, and that included, I believe it was a 12-minute intermission in the middle. There was an extra 10 minutes added to the 70 millimeter roadshow presentation, and there was a 5-minute overture at the beginning.
So did your friend like move to get up, and then the seat just like these straps came up and pulled him down?
Yeah. No, you know what? I just to sum her experience up right away. I think during the overture, she sort of looked at me like, "Huh?" And then I think she was like, "Oh, okay, like this is unique." And she really did actually appreciate the uniqueness of it. I don't think she thought much of the movie, but it was hard not to appreciate it, to be honest. Like the overture kind of kicked in, and you're just like, okay, like I'm in for something very different here. And then the film starts. And what's interesting, I'll be the first to admit this, and I should pretend like I'm some sort of expert on this, but when they say they shot on 70 millimeter, I wasn't entirely sure what they meant, because I know IMAX, I believe, right, is 70 millimeter.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in terms of measurement and whatnot, but as frame ratios go, it means something different altogether. And they said they had to get these theaters prepared, for that. And I was like, does that mean a wider screen, or does that mean, and what it really meant is projectors. And so we went and saw it on a normal size screen. It was a big screen. And what it means is it was shot in a much wider aspect ratio. And the film stock itself, 35 millimeter versus 70 millimeter, obviously it's a much bigger frame, so it can pick up a lot more information. So I have to say, so in terms of aspect ratio, there was a bar, like a letterbox bar on the bottom of the screen, because it was so wide, which was kind of interesting. But because the picture has such a higher resolution, I gotta say, it looked like a Blu-ray for being film. It was pretty unbelievable. All the detail on people's faces and the backgrounds, the colors were just like really stood out. But anyway, so looked great. In terms of what I thought about the movie, I gotta say it definitely was not my favorite Tarantino movie. It seems pretty divisive actually online too. People who are naming it, either their top movie of the year or worse. They hated it. Yeah. And I don't know that I'm either, to be honest. The way that I've tried to sum it up for people is this: I really like Quentin Tarantino. I really respect him a lot. I didn't feel like this movie warranted the 3-hour, 20-minute running time at all. Okay. I think this movie could have easily been 2 hours and 10 minutes, somewhere around there, and still possibly been more impactful. I think the thing is this, and if I can sum it up, why I didn't think it was as powerful as whatever. It's basically about 8 liars in a room, right? So all they're doing is talking to each other, and you're like, is everyone in on this thing? Is no one in on this thing? Who knows who's in cahoots, blah, 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 blah. And it made me think of Inglourious Bastards. And without spoiling things, I'll say there are 3 long, talky conversations that come to mind in that movie. The very first being, which isn't a spoiler, a Jew hunter, this Nazi who it's his sole thing to go hunt down these Jews that have fled. He goes into this farmer's house and he's having this conversation. And as he's having this conversation, you realize there are Jewish people being hidden under the floorboards. And then you slowly begin to realize he knows they're under the floorboards. So like the whole conversation is just talk, but it's like a thriller because he's slowly letting on what he knows. And you're like, what is going to happen? There's another conversation too, where one of the people, who's gotten away, gets into a conversation with him, and slowly you start to realize he knows who she is. And he does it in the most diabolical, fiendish, clever little, hint droppy ways. And it's just, and then there's another one that I guess I won't, because it's a huge spoiler thing for that movie, but like, they're just ingenious. I mean, they are some of the best scenes like I've ever seen. And I felt like no conversation in this movie came close to the weight and the layers and the texture that those conversations had. Mm-hmm. And this was a movie that was nothing but conversations. So I kind of wish there had been a little bit more going on. I feel like trimming possibly could have added to some tension and whatnot. But I won't say that I disliked it because at the same time, I love Tarantino's voice.
Sure.
And so I guess what I would say my walk away thing from this is I really enjoyed watching another story told from this guy's voice. And you can't not like that. And I did like it. But I feel like it is probably one of my lesser favorites of his.
Okay.
So, it's if you're a Tarantino fan, even if you don't love it, there's still a lot to like and recognize and smirk at because you just recognize one of your favorite storytellers telling another story.
Sure.
If you don't like Tarantino, you will hate this movie.
So this will not turn anybody, whether you're a fan or a non-fan.
Yeah, this is like Tarantino at his most Tarantino-iest.
Okay.
so yeah. I one of my lesser favorites, but still, again, as a fan of his, still worth visiting.
So that's Hateful Eight. Now, you did see Anomalisa.
Yes, which you saw, and I think did you very briefly talk about it?
I did not.
We talked about it off air. That's what it was, because I was really looking forward to it. So yeah, I won't talk about this one as long. But this is a Charlie Kaufman written movie. Excuse me. That's was shot with puppets.
Yeah. So it was Kickstarter funded.
Yes.
And it's a Charlie Kaufman and Duke Johnson directed it, and it's a character piece, but it stars marionettes.
Right. And it's I encourage people to at least look at the trailer, even if they're not going to watch it, because it's a pretty marvelous looking presentation. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, so let me tell you my experience now. As this is going to sound like a broken record from previous episodes, but I went in not knowing anything about the movie. I hadn't seen the trailer, and I had no idea A, what it was about, and B, who it was about.
Sure.
So the movie starts, and there's like the main character who he's voiced by David Thewlis.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the plane, and these marionettes are remarkable because they look extraordinarily realistic.
Yeah.
So
movement.
So if you're going in with no idea you're watching an animation, you're just like it takes a minute before that reflex kicks in, and you're like, oh, this is not real.
Right. Because the detail, especially even in like the scenery and the backgrounds, it's meant to look real.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a film that I appreciated the craft, but I can't say I liked it very much.
I think I'm somewhere with you on that. I went into this with really high expectations, and I found myself getting a little bored at the beginning. Like there's this sequence where the main character walks into a hotel, and the camera follows him to the front desk. They have this sort of inane conversation, and then it follows him into an elevator, no cuts.
Yeah.
Goes up the elevator. He comes out the elevator, walks down a hallway. It's technically amazing. I don't know how they did it.
Absolutely.
But I found almost like it was more like a showcase for how amazing that was, rather than it actually captured like how mundane everything was happening.
Yeah.
So I found my mind wandering a little bit, and I'm the type of guy that can usually enjoy and appreciate something that's a little slower, but I don't know. It took me a while to figure out if I was even interested in this story.
Well, so the story is about this guy. He's an author of self-help books, mm-hmm. aimed at like customer service people in the service industry, how to be better at customer service, in essence. Right. So he's kind of a minor celebrity within this circle.
Right.
And the idea is that he's going through this sort of middle-aged malaise, feeling lonely, whatever, and everybody sounds and looks the same to him, which is everybody else is voiced by Tom Noonan.
Yes, which was very confusing to me at the beginning.
It took me a second too. Yeah. And until he meets this girl Lisa, who is her voice?
Was it Jennifer Jason Leigh?
Is it Jennifer? Okay, so we're talking about two Jennifer Jason Leigh movies.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, and she's also in Hateful Eight, of course. And he falls for her for whatever reason, without spoiling anything. But the problem I had was I was like, this is like privilege problems. You know what I mean? Like, I don't,
Yeah.
I can't, like, I don't find this person compelling. I find him kind of an asshole.
I mean, that's kind of the point of the movie toward the end, and I don't
Sure.
want to spoil what the revelation is and whatnot, but I agree with you. I mean, he's not a very likable person, and I can watch a movie that's about like a person that's not very likable.
Sure.
I guess what it is there is sort of, it all is pointing toward a point with this guy.
Right,
And I
and-
felt like it was a point that could have been made in half the time.
That's exactly it. Because by the time we get there, I'm like, well, hey, I already got here a while ago.
Yeah.
What took you? You know?
Yeah. And I don't like, I don't think he ends being a likable guy either.
Right.
And that's okay with me.
Sure.
I don't have to like his worldview or whatever is
Which is totally, yeah. I mean, I agree
Totally
with that.
fine.
It's totally fine. Yeah.
But I did really feel like I watched something that was easily a 45 minute short stretched out to 90 minutes.
Bingo. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So I don't even know that I'd recommend it. I think if people are interested, I say check it out. Sure. You know what I mean?
I think watch it to appreciate the craft.
Yeah. But for those who are sort of not sure, I don't know that I would recommend it.
There was some funny, sort of very Kaufman-esque type stuff in there, like when he goes into the basement of this hotel and to meet
Yes.
like the manager,
Yeah.
and he has to take a golf cart to get to the. I mean, I don't want to spoil it because it is worth experiencing. But there was some clever stuff in there like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't regret watching it, but I guess maybe I really wanted to like it. Like I was looking forward to something unique and something I could walk away with like a big emotional punch and whatnot. And I just sort of left it like, oh, so that's what that was.
I will say this: it fits very comfortably in the sort of the Uver, if you will, of Charlie Kaufman.
Sure, very much so.
You can pretty much put it into the same continuum as Eternal Sunshine and Being John Malkovich and Adaptation, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's Anomalisa. I didn't tell you this. Over break I watched Home Alone with my kids.
Well, that's okay. So this is like classic for us.
Yeah, this is the 25th anniversary of Home Alone just ended, and I was like, hey, I think the kids are they're a little older now. That was kind of, I was actually, it was one of those things where I was like, I'm absolutely going to watch Home Alone with them, but when is the right time? Because it sort of descends into torture porn at the end there.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show it at an age where they're at least able to recognize that you shouldn't drop irons on people's heads.
Right. Congrats on your boys reaching that age.
I know it's a milestone. Exactly. So it was actually a lot of fun because it was a family night. My wife and all of us got to watch together, which like practically never happens. And they were into it the whole way through. They loved it. They were laughing, and they were laughing uproariously from the time, when he plays the angels with filthy souls, the movie, to the pizza delivery guy, and they were just cracking up. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, this would be like us back in 1990 when this movie came out, cracking up this way over a movie from 1965.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't think of a movie that would have had that reaction from me, back in 1990 from 1965.
No, that is really hard for me to wrap my head around. I mean, the Beatles
nuts.
were like still in the middle of being together.
Right.
Wow.
So the boys are like, oh, can we watch Home Alone 2 next? I'm like, no, we will not watch Home Alone. They know of its existence, unfortunately, but we will not be watching that movie.
But it's funny because I watched Home Alone again this year too. I probably watch it every Christmas, but aside from cell phones, and of course the internet, but like there's really not a whole lot to make it feel like it's from another time, right? I mean, not the way that people talk or the way people dress even.
Right. And yeah, there's nothing in it, again, other than the cell phone thing that immediately takes you out of it. Like the internal logic holds together actually pretty well.
Yeah.
the only thing I can think of is at the very end when he calls the police from his house and he says, my house is being robbed, is the neighbor's address, because they would go to where the call came from.
Right. Good call. I never thought of that.
That's the only thing and I think the reason he says the neighbor is because he doesn't, well, I mean, like, logically, if the cops show up and mom and dad aren't there, then mom and dad are going to jail.
Right.
For being horrible parents. Right? Yeah. That's the problem with the sequel, is one time we let it go. The second time you're like, let's, we need an intervention here, clearly.
Yeah. Well, and I caught part of the end of part 2 this year, and the whole brutality against the burglars is like cranked up to 11 in that one. I mean, he's literally just throwing bricks at their heads.
Yeah, I don't really, and it's just not a good movie in my opinion, the second one.
Mm-hmm. It's a retread. I mean, you have the old man Marley, and then you got the bird lady, and
that's right. Yeah,
it's pretty similar. Then the first one, I mean, again, watching the first one again this year, I was like, man, like, you didn't have to have the old man Marley thing, but it's really sweet.
It's great.
Like surprising. I mean, the whole thing is like this weird stew. Like it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon, but there's also a lot of heartwarming stuff that actually lands. Yeah. And yeah.
Well, and I've said it on the show before. I mean, you watch it, you really get a sense. This is Mr. Jigsaw as a kid. He gets a taste for it early.
Right.
Well, moving on, we do have a couple listener letters, but before we get to those, I wanted to share a couple new reviews that were left for us on iTunes.
Oh, cool.
So it's been kind of a Christmas bounty for us, because we've actually had a couple new reviews left for us in the last few weeks, which is nice. So this is from NamTab29, and it took me about 3 weeks to realize that that's Batman backwards. NamTab29. And NamTab29 says, there are so many movie podcasts out there, and so many that are not good. This is not one of those. The hosts are well-informed and engaging, approaching the art of cinema from a relaxed but intelligent perspective. The long-form audio commentary episodes are also a treat. Great show. Give it a try if you like a lively discussion of movies. So that was nice. Thank you.
That's very nice, yeah.
Thank you, NamTab. And by the way, the reaction to our commentary episodes has been really surprising. Well, not surprising, I guess. I mean, it's nice. People seem to like them. It's pleasantly surprising.
Yeah, flattering.
And Brian and I were talking about this off mic before we got on. But what the hell? Let's put it out to the listeners.
That's a good idea.
We were thinking about we want to do something. We want to
posing for a calendar. Oh. That's another comment.
That's later. Yeah. We want to do a commentary leading up to the release of Batman versus Superman. And so we're thinking either Superman, the movie, the Richard Donner film from 1978, or Batman from 1989, which some of you with long memories may remember from our very first episode of the Movie Film Podcast, which I don't recommend seeking out necessarily, and I'm sure Brian would agree. But that was focused on the 1989 Batman. But, maybe us doing a commentary on that, or failing that, Man of Steel from 2013, which we also focused on for an episode, but we could go into it a little bit more. So Superman, 1978, Batman, 1989, or Man of Steel from 2013, or what the hell, just make a suggestion, but something in that vein.
Yeah.
Let us know. Either way, whatever you end up doing. Maybe we can make one of these like poll things that you put up on Facebook.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be, I'm game for all of them, so I'm curious what people want to hear.
We'll let us know either way. So that's coming up. And another review. This is from Priyal, and she says, I love podcasts and I'm constantly looking for good ones to listen to. This is one of my favorites, and I recommend it to everyone. It's a fun, easy listen with two great hosts, Zachy and Brian. Hey, that's us. You don't have to be a critic or even a movie buff, just someone who likes to listen to a good, entertaining conversation. Both Zachy and Brian have been in the industry and have lots of interesting insights to offer. Zachy also plays many of his interviews with all types of directors, actors, and writers. You'll for sure want to add this one to your list. So thank you for that.
I gotta say, it's very satisfying hearing these things. Like, flattering, obviously, but like, it's very satisfying. Like, it's nice to know that people, I don't know, like, like what you're trying to do. So I really appreciate hearing the feedback.
Well, and you know, the great thing about this show is, and I've said this before, I mean, ultimately, why did we start doing it? Because it gave us an excuse to hang out for a couple of hours and just shoot the breeze.
Yeah.
So the fact that people want to hang out with us while we shoot the breeze, that's kind of nice.
Very, yeah.
So, of course, the last couple of weeks have been very Star Wars centric, and we do have some Star Wars news to discuss since last time.
What's a Star War?
What's But we have a couple of listener letters that tie in with that. So I figured let's read our listener letters first, and then we can segue from there into sort of what new news there is in Star Wars land. So these two were sent to us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. This is from Drew. He says, "Hi guys, loved your Star Wars episode. It was funny," and I think he means the Force Awakens episode, our last episode. "It was funny, insightful, and everything that I've loved about this show since I started listening to your Phantom Menace retrospective, as it happens. I agree with you that the Force Awakens is a solid start, and I'm very excited to see where things go next. One thought on Rey." It was played by Daisy Ridley in the film. "Do you think she could be related to Obi-Wan Kenobi?"
I think she actually means old Ben Kenobi. He's a hermit. No.
Now, this is kind of interesting, right? Because I heard this theory, and yeah, I'm so sick to death of fan theories on the internet. You know, those are just like a polyp on the anus of humanity. You can quote me on that. But is Rey related to Ben Kenobi? Why? Because they both have British accents. Because accents are genetic, of course.
Right.
But here's the thing. I was blowing this theory off, and then I read something yesterday that actually made me say, that actually could kind of work.
Yeah.
Have you read any of this stuff?
I will admit I've tapered off. I think as soon as the film came out, I was kind of gobbling it all up, but then it started getting repetitive. But I just recently saw this whole Obi-Wan theory. So,
so the theory is that she is Obi-Wan's granddaughter.
Yes.
And the theory actually kind of makes sense to me a little bit.
Okay, go on.
Well, I need to pull up the link here. This is how unprepared I am.
When you say, well, that makes sense because of her age, but I was like, granddaughter. So who would he have?
So we skipped now think about this. We have a 20-year span in Obi-Wan's life that's unaccounted for.
That is very true. Maybe he met a nice woman on Tatooine.
Sure. Now, here's my thing about this. As you know, I've been a big booster all along for doing an Obi-Wan Kenobi solo spin-off movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, what better way to do that than to do an Obi-Wan movie about his adventure where he meets the great love of his life or whatever. And this is after the Jedi Order has fallen. It's not like he's bound by their rules anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And, and now, so you have this Obi-Wan side story, and it can play into or backwards into, we find out who Rey's mother is.
Right.
And what that whole thing is, but it goes beyond even that. It's I said last time that the way the movie ends, Rey being Luke's daughter, it seems so obvious that why not reveal it?
Right.
Unless there's a swerve that they have planned.
Right. And that would make sense because everything is so Skywalker centric.
Right.
Why not break out of that a little bit?
Yeah, and this theory that I read, and this was on Huffington Post, by the way, talks about the symbolism.
Great site.
Sorry. Questionable on occasion. They do have some good content occasionally, every once in a while. But the symbolism of the lightsaber.
Okay.
And how you have Obi-Wan gives Luke Anakin's lightsaber, and that's kind of his call to adventure. And then the symbolism of Obi-Wan's kin giving Luke back that same lightsaber. That's the call back to adventure. And I don't know, there's some other interesting stuff. But I mean, I was reading some of this stuff, and I'm like, well, that actually kind of makes sense a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I remember before the film came out, there were so many rumors about what was going to happen in the movie, and J.J. Abrams was like, "Look, there's so many of these things. Inevitably, someone is going to get it right." And I think he even admitted, like, some of you have gotten it right. So it's like, I mean, there's only so much it can be. So
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as long as it's presented in a way that's thrilling and entertaining and doesn't take me out of the story or whatever, I'm curious to see how. That's the thing. Again, like, if you really start throwing darts at a wall, you're eventually going to hit what it probably is. So it's the challenge of the filmmakers coming, who are going to be doing this, to come up with it in a way that feels fresh, even if you already thought of it.
Sure.
All in the presentation. So I don't envy them, but I look forward to what they do. Well,
and our next letter is somebody's not quite as enthused by the new film as we were. This is from Harris, who says, like you, I was super excited for the new Star Wars, but I can't even sum up how disappointed I was. I know I'm in the minority, but seriously, by the way, spoiler, minor spoiler here. If you haven't seen it, folks,
I would say major spoiler.
Oh yeah, this is extremely major spoiler. If you haven't seen it, the hell is wrong with you?
I'd say skip ahead a couple minutes.
Yeah, if you're listening on your phone, there's like the little thing that like lets you skip ahead by 15 seconds. Skip like 5 minutes. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, I know I'm in the minority, but seriously, you're okay with them killing off? So, again, spoiler, folks.
Spoiler, people. Come on.
You're okay with them killing off Han Solo? And not only that, but they shamelessly stole from the legendary expanded universe canon Han Solo's evil son, a planet-destroying machine, and replaced it with something far inferior. Big thumbs down for me. And that's Harris. Now, this is interesting, Brian. Why were we okay with killing off Han Solo?
I am not okay with them killing off Han Solo.
Exactly.
We've talked about this. Obviously, people should check out our episode. Was it 84? I think.
The one before this one. So yes,
before 84. This one. Actually, I want to throw this off before I forget. The expanded universe. So they said, they being Lucasfilm, I guess you could say,
yes, that
they would not be acknowledging what was previously expanded universe canon. They were tossing all that out, and they were going to go their own way.
Yes, but they said it's there as a resource for us.
Yes. So in my mind, I'm the type of guy, I obviously adore Star Wars, but at the same time, I didn't get too deep into expanded universe mythology.
Me either. Yeah.
And so when they said that, I know a lot of people were really hurt by that. And J.J. Abrams, he struck me as the type of guy who was kind of like us. He was like probably aware of it, but he was way, way, way more familiar with the trilogy or the 6 films, and that was
the movies as they exist.
The movies, yeah. Let's do it. So, I guess what I'm wondering is, do you think that they really did mine a little bit from expanded universe canon, or do you think it's just a coincidence? Because it doesn't strike me like they would have done that.
I think that. Here's what I think happened is some of the people involved in it's called the Lucasfilm Story Group were previously tasked with maintaining and cataloging and doing all that shit about the expanded universe, right? Because the task of the expanded universe, by the way, we should mention, as a construct, is really quite fascinating because it existed in essence, from the beginning of the franchise, but as a cohesive thing since 1990 or 91, like whenever the first The Heir to the Empire, that novel, when that came out, that's sort of the beginning of what's now considered the expanded universe. And it was the goal put forth by Lucasfilm was that all the novels, all the comics, everything with the exception of the films was meant to cohere together. So you couldn't, for example, have a novel say that Han and Leia got married this way and then have a comic book or something say they got married this way. There had to be, so in other words, there had to be somebody at Lucasfilm who made sure everything flowed together. Now, as a result of that, Play for Unity it gave the impression of one cohesive canon.
Okay.
So I think the reason that you have so many fans who have such an attachment to it is because it was, for all intents and purposes, the canon.
Sure.
Right? Now, again, from the time we were kids, the notion of doing Star Wars sequels was not on the table. It was we kind of knew to expect at some point they're going to do prequels, but there was no serious intent of doing sequels. So that's the reason that this expanded universe novels and everything else were able to just grow and grow.
Mm-hmm.
So it catalogs everything from Return of the Jedi immediately after to 100 years after.
Right.
All of that stuff. So as soon as this sale happened, I think we even talked about it in the show. It's like, well, obviously that stuff has to go away.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because there's just no way. How do filmmakers have freedom to do anything if you're boxed in by this stuff that most people haven't read?
Right.
And in the expanded universe, they killed off Chewbacca, Han Solo, and Princess Leia had several kids. They had twins, and one of those twins turned evil. I mean, there's definitely some similarities to this new movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what happened is that they probably, as they were breaking the story, they were like, "When this will happen," and then one of the people involved is like, "Well, they did something similar in this novel or whatever," and maybe they tried to steer clear of making it too much like that, or there had to be some give and take as far as that. I don't think they made it all the way into the movie without nobody knowing what's in.
I just picture Lawrence Kasdan though, like them telling him that, and he's like, "Here's a quarter." You know what I mean? Like,
probably. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I do think that. I don't think it's out of the question that somebody was like, "Hey, they did this in the novels, and that's kind of cool. We should do something similar to that."
Hmm.
Because there's a reason that Lucasfilm, when they released that statement saying, "Hey, the expanded universe is going bye-bye," they deliberately said, "However, it will be a resource for us to draw from."
That's true.
And when you think about it, like all of the expanded universe stuff is still available, but it's being labeled Legends.
Right.
So in other words, it's like, well, there's a legend of Han Solo having this son who went. Here's the real version, but it kind of, you know what I mean?
You got just even saying it was like now it's referred to as Legends. You got to hand it to them. They're handling all of this really well, right? To even give it that like distinction and the integrity, like it's pretty. I don't know.
Well, unless you're Harris, who's obviously very upset about losing the expanded universe.
Sure.
And the thing is, I get it to an extent. I mean, again, I didn't follow any of that stuff, but if you did, it sucks. It absolutely does.
Totally. I totally get it.
Now, as far as the question of killing off Han Solo, no one is okay with killing off Han Solo.
Right.
Which is the point of killing off Han Solo.
Right. Well, and I'd even go so far as I'm not 100% okay with the execution of killing off Han Solo either.
Right. I'd go with you on that too. However, here's what I'll say. The reality is that neither Han Solo nor Harrison Ford are immortal.
Right.
So at some point, you have to deal with the finality of a Star Wars without Han Solo in it.
Mm-hmm.
So the question then becomes not should we or should we not kill Han Solo, but can we give him a worthy death?
Right.
And I think, and Brian and I agree, there were some issues as far as that goes, but I think for me personally, at the end of the day, I'm okay with the way it went down because it did feel like a gut punch. It did feel like an emotional thing. And the moment has the weight in this story that I think this character deserves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, well, it's something I never wanted to see,
Right.
But if this is the choice you make, right? You either get your happy ending or you continue, but that means saying goodbye to the people that you love.
Right.
So that's where I'm at as far as losing Han Solo. And Han Solo, think about it this way. Han Solo is different than Indiana Jones in that Indiana Jones can outlast Harrison Ford. In the sense that...
I kind of get what you're saying, but I'm just curious.
at some point, Harrison Ford will retire. And even though that's not on the table right now, we know that whether it's 10 years from now or 5 years from now or 20 years from now, there will be an other Indiana Jones.
Sure.
The character is larger than life in that sense. Whereas I think the Star Wars universe is constructed around the mortality of these characters.
Right.
We watch these characters come and go. They leave.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes this a saga, is that it's bigger than individual characters.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes complete sense. And now you've got my mind spinning a little bit, thinking. Okay, we've already talked about this with the deal that Disney has made. I mean, they're going to be making Star Wars movies until we're either in our 70s or beyond. You know what I mean? So do you continue when you say that it's a saga and there's like a mortality to these characters? Do you think there will ever be a point where they're like, I mean, will this just be a 100-year saga?
It can be. I mean, why not?
Right? I mean, why not? Sure. Or do you think there will ever be a point where they just sort of regenerate the whole thing?
Well, I mean, anything's possible, right? If you would have told me 10 years ago that Star Trek would go back to the original crew, I would have said, no way, right?
Right. Exactly.
William Shatner is Captain Kirk, right?
Right.
But they found a way to make that happen and make it work. But when you think about it, that's actually a great example, because how did they do it? They did that by very deliberately saying everything that happened before still counts.
Right.
This is just like a thing on the side. So that's what you would effectively need to do, because I don't think we want to see anybody but Harrison Ford as Hans. Well, let me rephrase. If we're, you know what I mean? Like, we're doing young Han Solo, as I'm realizing.
Right.
But that's meant to fit.
Yeah.
That's meant to fit into this existing canon, you know?
But that's kind of fascinating. I mean, you think of like James Bond, and he's like 50 years plus or whatever it is. And those films coming out, and they just keep getting new Bonds, right? But like to have something like Star Wars, what we're pitching here or imagining, to have a story that's told over the course of 100 years.
Sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I think that's what this is going to be. And I've said this before, right? Because we're now at the start of this new trilogy, but is this the last trilogy? Does it need to be?
Right.
I mean, I don't know, you know. I do think, as it pertains to Han Solo, you know, I think there's something to that. You know, I've said this elsewhere, about the great myths, right? Like when you look at King Arthur, just as much a part of King Arthur's story as his pulling the sword from the stone is, you know, when he dies and he's sails off to Avalon, you know. Robin Hood, an integral part of his story is, you know, when he's buried in Sherwood Forest. Like, I mean, heroes have endings. And that's what makes them legendary. And I think, to me, that I've seen Force Awakens 4 times now, and that moment, it never stops having a punch for me. And I think part of it is because it's the end of a legend. Or, you know, if you will, the beginning of a legend. You know what I mean? Right. And I think there's a poignancy to that. And I'm kind of, well, look, this is going to happen anyway, because we're going to be phasing these older characters out. So why not give them these kinds of moments, you know?
I agree. I mean, I will say that I do feel like it could have been handled with a couple extra beats.
Sure.
To give it what I feel like I would have liked to have got, a little bit more of what I would have liked to have gotten out of it, and even memorialized a little bit more in the movie than I
agree.
They'd have done.
That we needed.
But yeah, no, I completely understand what you're saying. And it also makes me think of another thing. Sorry, this is a little bit different, but think about when you start a new movie, and any movie you make, you probably sign actors for a 3-picture deal because you just expect to make a trilogy.
Or 6 pictures. Or
6 pictures, sure. Yeah. But like when you have like a Daisy Ridley or a John Boyega, I mean, what are they signing them to for this? I mean, if they are expecting this to be legacy kind of movies, or like a saga, like you're saying, and that include, you know, you have Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, who are reprising these characters in their 60s, 70s. are they expecting Daisy Ridley to do your trilogy, probably do 2 trilogies, and then, hey, we're probably going to need you when you're 42. you know, we're thinking we got ideas. It's a little nebulous right now, but we're thinking we're going to need you when you're 60 as well. You know what I mean? Like, should she expect to be in these movies for her entire life?
That's a good question.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's, what kind of career path will you have after Star Wars? Because there's a couple different ways that could go.
And not even so much that, because I mean, I feel like, I don't know if this has changed, but it seems like people are able to sort of have their calling card roles, but also do other things. I mean,
Sure.
Even Daniel Radcliffe, even though I would argue his movies haven't been that memorable, but he has like, oh, that's Daniel Radcliffe. Like, we don't call him Harry Potter. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, and the other thing is that those guys were able to renegotiate several times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, he made buku bucks by the end of those movies.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying, like, I don't think she's going to be like pigeonholed into this role, but I'm just wondering, with their plans to have this story be told over decades and decades, I mean, is there a plan to at least have some sort of agreement with her where it's like, yeah, if we ask, we kind of expect you to come back, even if that means every decade for the rest of your life.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see how they proceed. Again, are the saga movies open-ended?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Question. Now, by the way, I wanted to address this because a couple people have said online how they don't like the fact that Rey, Daisy Ridley in the film, is she's not a Jedi, she's not a Force user, and then suddenly at the end she's able to hold her own against Kylo Ren, who's clearly a practiced Force user.
You're right.
And there have been all the idiotic complaints. Really, people are complaining a little too much about a strong female character. That's my opinion.
Sure.
But here's one thing, and I wanted to get your take on this, that nobody's talking about, which is that Kylo Ren at the end of the film is fighting at a severe disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just took a bowcaster blast straight to the midsection.
Right.
And if you watch the movie, this is not by accident. Throughout the movie, they point out how lethal Chewie's bowcaster is.
I never even thought of that.
Right? They do it 4 times.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right? So, I mean, you remember Han used it? He's like, whoa, and let me use it. And then you see it. The people are flying across the landscape.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kylo Ren takes a shot right to the midsection, and he holds his ground. And then we have him in the forest, and he's kind of like hitting his side, remember, and the blood is coming out. Yeah. He's using his Force energy to keep his insides from spilling out.
Right.
And so that's the circumstance in which he's fighting Rey.
See, that never bothered me because also, I mean, I would say, even if you're really thinking about the story, is more impressive as she mentally holds her own.
That too.
As he's trying to like probe her mind for information, and she's basically like, screw off, like using the Force. I mean, that clearly the Force has awoken inside of her. So it comes as no surprise to me that she was able to do that. I mean, obviously she probably can't flip around and have these like awesome moves necessarily, but can she hold her own? Yeah, I think she's kind of.
Well, and the fact that people are saying, "Oh, that's a big plot hole," and I'm like, no, listen, there's legit plot holes in this movie. I don't consider that a plot hole. I consider that, well, clearly it's an unfolding story, and we need to see what happens next.
Actually, and I want to take back what I just said because we saw her say that, or I'm sorry, we saw her do that in the first act, like kicking ass of people who were getting in her way with her staff. So that's obviously she knows how to fight.
That too.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, moving on from those letters, we should. I mean, this is kind of like Star Wars Episode Part 2, Force Awakens B. There is. I mean, how's the movie been doing, man?
Dude, this movie is like insane. Like it's at over $1.5 billion, so $1.5 billion in 18 days of release. I mean, that's insane. So it passed Avatar. Has it passed Avatar? Avatar's at what, 760 maybe? So it's on its way.
Avatar. So we're recording on the 5th of January, Tuesday. It will pass Avatar domestically tomorrow, Wednesday.
Right. So it's at it will pass the highest grossing domestic film which probably took several months. I don't have it in front of me, but I assume it was several months, and it will have done it in just over 2.5 weeks. That's insane.
So is this, does this mean anything is my question, because we're talking IMAX screens, we're talking 3D. Do these numbers mean anything anymore, or is this something that is impressive?
I think it's both. I think we've talked about this where it's just a different time. I mean, whatever makes some record this year, something's going to beat that record next year just because of inflation and IMAX and whatever. Like, it's just kind of the way it's going now.
Right.
The way that we charge for movies and see movies, we're just designing them to outpace what came before them.
Sure.
But at the same time, I would say the speed of this movie is nothing to sniff at. I mean, that's something to be highly impressed with. And not only that, but I've seen the movie 3 times. You've seen it 4 times. I know, let's call them average movie goers that I work with who have at least seen it twice.
Sure.
I've talked to, again, what I would call average movie goers who've seen it 3 times. And that's not normal now because movies are super expensive. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a movie at least more than twice.
What's funny? The last movie I remember seeing 4 times was Revenge of the Sith.
Wow, yeah.
So I did like that one when it came out.
Sure, yeah. But I mean, nowadays, there's not many movies people go to see even more than once.
Sure.
So, yeah, I would say this is I'd call it a phenomenon, certainly. I mean, I heard someone say this felt less like the Christmas season recently and more like Star Wars season. And I can't disagree with that. Like, I mean, it was everywhere. Like, if you bought I saw, like a package of apples, it had a picture of Kylo Ren on it. I mean, I've never seen anything like this before.
So
and
it worked. Thinking, well, it had to have blown away Disney's expectations.
Yeah.
And that's what got me thinking, because they've got episode 8 scheduled for May of 2017. I'm thinking they should just stake out Christmas as Star Wars time.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, you open it in May and you're boxed in by blockbusters every week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas clearly this movie benefited from the fact that there was nothing big before it, nothing big after it.
And it's going to play probably till Batman.
Yeah. There's nothing huge coming out. I mean, Deadpool arguably is a tentpole movie, but it's not, it's not any direct competition for this.
Yeah. Well, and then you think of Titanic and Avatar.
Yeah.
Those movies also opened in December, and they have no competition for like 2 months at least. Right. So it's easy to sort of be the number one choice of people in the middle of January who don't know what to see.
Sure.
And so it's kind of like a little bonus having, like you said, like no May, June, July. I mean, there's some competition. There's 3 things competing with you every weekend.
Right, exactly.
December's kind of the smart money. But at the same time, I mean, I think a lot of people would be kind of upset about that because December is sort of the award season, right?
Sure.
And I mean, even, I don't know how big a story this was outside of Los Angeles, but Quentin Tarantino had the Cinerama Dome at the Hollywood ArcLight, which is like a historic, huge screen out here. And he wanted to show Hateful Eight on there because he filmed in 70 millimeter, which I guess is Cinerama. I don't even know it. My history. But either way, it was made to be shown basically on that screen. And he had it booked. And then Disney was like, to the ArcLight, if you pull Star Wars from that screen, you're going to have to pull Star Wars from all your screens.
Wow.
Yeah. So they muscled out Tarantino, who had that screen booked. So, I mean, understandably, he was pretty upset about it. I mean, you know, the cinephile he is, he made that movie to watch on that specific screen for himself.
Sure.
And so I completely sympathize with him. That sucks. And so, you know, I mean, it just feels like it would be really, December is a very specific month movie wise. Like that's when you get your award hopefuls and whatnot, and usually those are movies that as unique as they are, maybe a little bit more dramatic, they seem to kind of land because there's a lot of talk about them, there's a lot of buzz about them for awards and whatnot. And if Star Wars comes in as just this huge juggernaut every single year, I don't know, you got to imagine like the Weinsteins of the world and people like that wouldn't be too happy about it.
That's a good point. Any other Star Wars news?
No, that's kind of it.
Well, there we go. So that's a lot, but like I said, I mean, we still got so much to say about The Force Awakens. We could just keep going,
Yeah.
But there are other movies to talk about now. Now we're going to dispense with headlines this week in favor of looking back at the year that just ended and talking up our favorite movies that weren't Star Wars. Unless Star Wars made your top 10 list, which I guess we'll find out in just a second. Now, this is a tradition. We'll find out. This is a tradition on our show, you and I, and back when Sean was with us, you used to be Sean too. Sean is not dead. Sorry. Sean's around. He's just not on the show anymore. But, we go through our top 10 for the year. We usually do a countdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to do that? I'll do my 10, you do your 10, or vice versa, and we'll just I'll do my 9, you do your 9. We just go backwards. You want to do that?
Sounds good. Yeah. So, and I always like to say that when I'm saying that these are the top 10 movies I'm listing in a row here, this isn't what I think on merit necessarily. This is my favorite movie going experiences this year. So, one could argue like, well, that movie wouldn't win any awards. It's like, well, it doesn't have to. Like, this was a memorable movie going experience for me personally. So that's where I'm picking. I'm not saying these are the best movies of the year. I'm saying these are the movies that I had the best experience with.
And there you go. That's I'll echo that.
Yeah,
I'll echo the sentiment. So let's work our way backwards. Brian, why don't you go first? What was your number 10?
Sure. Well, I'll say also, did you write any runners up?
I did actually. Yeah.
You want to let's do those. We don't have to spend a ton of time on them, but there were some that I wanted to mention that did not make my list.
So my honorable mentions were Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, Ex Machina, Shaun the Sheep.
Mm-hmm. Shaun the Sheep, huh? I heard that was fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of fun. 99 Homes.
I remember you mentioning that. It was the only reason I had any interest in it is because you seemed to like it. But it didn't make the top 10. You spoke pretty highly of it.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely worth watching. Fantastic performance.
Well, I'm not going to watch it now because it's not your top 10.
F that movie. Michael Shannon, absolutely fantastic in it.
Yeah.
Worth watching for him. And lastly, Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
All right. Well, I'll go my runners up, like kind of split into the categories here. These were my favorite sort of popcorny movies.
Okay.
I put Kingsman: The Secret Service.
Ah, yes, I enjoyed that a great deal.
It was just a fun little surprise.
It really was.
I think it got a little too dark at times for its own good.
Well, like a massacre in a church.
Yeah, which you kind of get what they're going for, but I don't know that it really fit right. Like it was like a little sore thumb on that movie, but still, I had a blast with it. That was a fun movie. I actually ended up seeing that twice, and I enjoyed it both times. Moving into a little bit less popcorny movies, I enjoyed Straight Outta Compton a lot. That was pretty highly anticipated for me, and I thought it rose above the average biopic or music biopic. Also, Man from U.N.C.L.E. I ended up I don't know where this thing came from. Kind of forgot about it. Ended up watching it streaming on Amazon. I was like, that was really fun. And then when my parents were out here for the holidays, I showed it to them, and I enjoyed it all over again. That was if you missed The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and you see it at a Redbox, pick it up. I think you're going to be like, oh, well, that was good.
Yep.
As we get into a little bit more Oscar-y movies that, again, didn't make my list, I saw Brooklyn.
Sure.
Did you see that?
I did see it.
Yeah, with what's her name? Saoirse Ronan.
It was great. She's fantastic.
Brooklyn. She's fantastic in it. I think if you're looking for a nice sort of quieter character movie, you're not going to be disappointed in Brooklyn. I thought that was a nice story. Revenant, that was pretty cool. Really interesting experience. I don't know that it was enough to really, tout as the best movie of the year, but I thought it was really competently made and really gorgeous to look at, like a great cinematic experience. And lastly, hey, I'm going to say it. No one else seems to be saying it. No one else is going to agree with me. I like Joy. Did you see Joy?
I did see Joy. I had mixed feelings about Joy.
Most people did.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anyone's wrong. I think people, the two complaints I'm hearing are that side characters, people didn't like the side characters, or they didn't feel like they added up to anything at the end, which I guess I can't disagree with, but also that the movie just sort of went forward as it went forward, but didn't go as deep as it possibly could.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not going to disagree with anybody on that, but at the same time, I found myself getting into it, and I was behind the character. And when she had her highs and when she had her lows, I found myself with her, and when she had her high, I clapped actually, which I don't do all the time. So I don't know. I don't think it's something you need to rush out to see, but when Joy comes out, like I don't know. I
thought Jennifer Lawrence was good. You know what's funny is I had forgotten that it was a David O. Russell movie. And so as I'm watching it, I'm like, God, her family is awful. I despise.
Yeah.
Oh, this must be a David O. Russell movie.
It's so true, though. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and really, when you look at it that way, it's a remake of The Fighter.
It is. Yeah, it's a good point. But I don't know. I liked it apparently more than everybody else. I had a good time with it. So.
I didn't mind it. I would tell my wife, "Oh, you should watch this. You probably like it."
Exactly. I watched it with the friend who I saw The Hateful Eight with, and we both really enjoyed it.
There you go. So these are your honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. Last thing I'm going to say too is these are the movies I haven't seen that I wanted to see. Room. Did you ever see Room?
I haven't seen it. I have a screener sitting here, but I haven't watched it.
Brie Larson. Yeah, I had an opportunity to see it, and it's going to be
friend
later
of the show, Brie Larson, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. And then also Love and Mercy, the Brian Wilson.
Yeah, that's another
movie.
one I need to watch. I have that sitting here too, which I need to watch.
So
I have not seen The Revenant either, but all I know about that is will you please give Leo his Oscar? He will he will actually die. And it'll be on all of your shoulders, Academy.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. We did it. I got that out of the way.
Speaking of The Revenant, did you see the headline a couple weeks ago where it says Fox denies Bear raped Leonardo DiCaprio?
Didn't someone who actually see the movie start that rumor?
I don't even know how it started, but I'm just like, how would you like? You have the publicist, so that it's like one day that's the fire that they had to put out.
Can you imagine being the filmmakers of that movie and being like, seriously, when people Google this movie, that's the kind of crap. Like, what the hell? Like, it almost feels like your competitor did it as like a little trolling
right
thing. Yeah. It's so stupid. That scene's amazing, by the way.
Where the bear does not rape Leonardo.
No, it's pretty amazing. Anyway,
moving on. Okay, so our top 10s.
Top 10.
So Brian, why don't you go ahead?
Number 10, The Martian.
The Martian. Wow. Okay.
Are you familiar with The Martian? I'm just kidding. We both read the book.
we both adored the movie.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm gonna admit here, I've sort of pulled back on the movie a little bit the more that I thought about it. I've started to think more and more about the things that were nagging at me, and I really do wish, the movie with based on the book by Andy Weir, which we both read and both really loved. I highly, highly recommend the book. You got Matt Damon playing a guy who is accidentally left behind on Mars and has to figure out how to not only stretch out his food and his oxygen, but how he's going to possibly get back to Earth. And I felt like I still wish this movie had touched a little bit more on the peril.
Sure.
And the threat. And his character, Mark Watney, almost seems a little too confident right from the get-go all the way through to the end. And if we could have seen a little bit more fear on display, I think it would have worked to this movie's benefit, because that is, in my opinion, that was present in the book in creative ways. But all that said, I still really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a pretty good adaptation. A really great 3D experience, which I don't normally say.
Yeah.
Pretty immersive. And I really enjoyed how upbeat it was, in spite of what I'm saying right now. I really enjoyed how upbeat it was, because there wasn't a saboteur, there wasn't someone trying to hold them back. It was just a bunch of people trying to figure out how to accomplish something, much like Apollo 13 in that way.
Sure.
And that was just a really compelling watch. So number 10 for me is The Martian.
Okay, well, my number 10 is Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, so this is one that I've gotten some raised eyebrows over. And I was thinking about this. I was like, I've seen this movie a bunch of times. And what I liked for me is that it got me over my superhero fatigue.
Okay. Yeah.
What I liked was that it played within a neighborhood that we're very well familiar with, but it showed how Marvel can take a character who even in the comic books, no one takes Ant-Man seriously. And they were able to say, you know what, we're going to take Ant-Man seriously.
Right.
And it's just a fun movie. And every time I see it, I love the fact that anybody can jump in. My kids love it, which is something that I find charming. I love the fact that they're really into it. And, it's just one of those movies that I've enjoyed every time I've seen it.
Man, sounds like I watched it with my parents actually over a holiday break. And
oh, what did they think?
Oh, it's funny because they were kind of quiet while we were watching it. And then when it was over, my dad was like, well, that was, he's like, I didn't expect to enjoy it that much. So he had a great time with it.
Oh, well, there we go then.
Yeah.
It has Brian's dad's seal of approval.
I'd still, if you're a longtime listener of the show, I continue to marvel, well, no pun intended, that at how much that my dad enjoys Marvel movies. Like he loves Star Trek, he loves your sort of typical stuff. But the fact that he actually, knows who the Thor and Asgard and all this stuff and Thanos, like we were watching some movie and he's like, oh, that guy. Thanos, that guy is going to be trouble, isn't he? I'm like, who is this guy? It's my dad.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So what's your number 9, Brian?
Number 9 for me was Creed.
Creed?
And
okay.
Yeah, I was a little surprised actually to have it on my list because this was a movie. I like the Rocky movies. And I know you love the Rocky movies.
I feel like you're saying you like the Rocky movies so that we can remain friends.
No, because I grew up with them as well. But as I've said also in here, I've never seen 2 or 3. I've seen 1, I've seen 4, I've seen 5. I saw Rocky Balboa, and so I like Rocky. And so going into Creed, I sort of felt like I was going to see something like, okay, I know what it's going to be, and I'm probably going to like it because it's going to have the formula that I enjoy. And I was really surprised. Ryan Coogler, who had done Fruitvale Station previously, also with Michael B. Jordan in it. I was just really impressed with.
He's doing Black Panther next, by the way.
Right, another movie my dad is sure to enjoy. And I found this to be a really clever and creative way to continue the Rocky universe with a character who I thought was going to be very similar, but ended up being very different. And it was an underdog story starring a rich guy. You know what I mean? Whereas Rocky was the underdog poor guy. This is a guy who's rich who wants to prove himself for more personal reasons. And because those personal reasons worked and really resonated with me, this was a movie that I remember getting choked up at least twice during this movie. And any movie that chokes me up, you got a friend in me. I love getting teared up. So I really thought Creed was a winner. So
yeah, I don't know if you heard. They're already talking about doing the sequel, and per Sylvester Stallone, one of the ideas they're thinking about is that we would use sort of CGI trickery, and we'd bring back Carl Weathers, and we could see Rocky and Apollo again as younger men.
Well, when I heard that, I was like, huh? And then when they said they wanted to do a parallel story a la Godfather 2. Yeah. I was like, nice.
Sure.
Like, that's kind of a cool idea.
Here's what I want, Brian. I want the story where Rocky goes back in time to stop Apollo from getting killed.
My gosh. Ticket sold.
Yeah. Well, here's what I want. He stops Apollo from getting killed.
Okay.
But he changes the timeline, so the Cold War never ended.
Dude, you're killing me. Because you know what? I'm not kidding. I would love to see that. And especially if they actually did it well, that would be a killer little fanfic movie, like over in the
Cold War never ended, and now it's like this dystopian alternate timeline where Rocky has to team up with Ivan Drago, who dresses like He-Man, by the way, in this alternate universe.
You're losing me. You're losing me. But I gotta say, I feel like this would snugly in the Rocky Legends series.
I want to see that movie.
Yeah. All right.
That's really funny. Okay, so Creed.
Wait, I just have to say real quick. Did you hear that also too? Sylvester Stallone spilt this sort of little detail. And did you hear that Ryan Coogler was like, so Sly's talking about that, huh? He seems kind of pissed.
I saw that. He's like, so I guess he doesn't keep secrets then.
I can't blame him, to be honest. But
it's like, who's going to tell Sylvester Stallone to shut his mouth,
Exactly. Anyway, I thought that was
funny. I did think that was funny. And by the way, Stallone has also decided again that he will not be playing Rambo again. So during the course of this show, he has bounced back and forth like a tennis ball about whether he's going to play Rambo. So we're back in no.
Right.
Now. And I'm fine with that, by the way, because I said this before. The last Rambo movie is a perfect way to end it. It's done. It's over. We don't need 80-year-old Rambo.
Totally agree. Seems like he agrees as well.
There you go. For now.
Yeah.
We'll keep it posted, though, because it's very fluid. My number 9, you just did your 9, right? Yep. My number 9 is Trumbo.
Trumbo, which I haven't seen.
Speaking of Rambo, it's the more brainy, intellectual version of that. You have not seen Trumbo yet.
No.
So Trumbo, of course, stars Bryan Cranston. It's about Dalton Trumbo, who was blacklisted during the McCarthy era as part of the Hollywood 10, and a fantastic performance by Bryan Cranston. A great cast across the board. I mean, Louis C.K. of all people has this great supporting role. And other great actors in there. I just and John J. Roach, by the way, who I played my interview with him on our last episode. I just, I've seen it a couple times now, and it just really resonated with me. I mean, there's this above and beyond the sort of the performances, which are very compelling. I think there's a storyline that's very easy to get drawn into.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. I'm
looking forward to getting your thoughts. So, number 8, Brian.
Number 8, I put The Big Short.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was a movie that I was kind of fascinated by because my brother works in the finance world, and so I have a translator, I guess you could say, for all this stuff. So I sort of already knew what happened. I knew the story. I know a lot of people know that there was a housing market crash, but I think a lot of people didn't know the details. And I kind of did, thanks to my brother. So I was really looking forward to seeing not only a movie depicting it, but also a movie from Adam McKay.
Sure.
He of Anchorman, Will Ferrell pairings fame. Really curious to see what he was going to do with a cast like Brad Pitt and Christian Bale and sort of what seemed like a serious topic, but told in sort of a not comedic, but bouncy,
breezy,
flashy, breezy is a good word, sort of way. And this movie really worked for me. I've actually seen it twice. I watched it once on my own, and then I watched it once with some other people. And I really enjoyed it the first time, but I just enjoyed it even more the second time. I think I just really... There's a lot going on in this movie. There's a lot of story. It's easy to see how it was adapted from a book that just told you what happened. And it's really amazing that they were able to craft these characters and make a narrative out of this whole event, which is basically the housing market crash is coming, but a handful of people saw it coming.
Yeah.
And they were able to figure out how to profit from it. And it's just a really fascinating tale, first of all. And also, I think this is going to come up with some other stuff we're going to talk about, but it's recent history, which is always kind of fascinating, seeing it interpreted through like a cinematic lens.
Yeah.
And I thought it was told in a really, I wouldn't say it's easy to understand, because I think there's still a lot of things that you can get lost in, but for as complicated as a lot of it can get, they make it, They do their best to tell it in a creative way, in a way that's palpable, and in a way that gets you to be as infuriated as clearly Adam McKay is about it.
Absolutely.
So I thought it's a unique little movie. I mean, it's pretty dense in a lot of ways, but it's also really kind of, like you say, breezy. A really interesting movie. I really admired this movie, The Big Short.
You know, when I watched The Big Short, in a lot of ways, it felt like watching a zombie movie where you're watching the beginnings of the zombie outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know where things are going.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And you know, there's a moment near the end of the film where you have these two characters, Jamie and Charlie, and they're sort of walking through the offices of, I think it's like Lehman Brothers, after, you know, they've been bankrupted basically. Yep. And it's this, and again, it's like Will Smith and I Am Legend or something, you know, like
yeah,
you know. And this is a movie, and by the way, I had a chance to interview Adam McKay about this, and if you go to my blog, you can check it out. And he absolutely was pissed off about it, and you get the sense he's very passionate about the story. I'm very gratified by the fact that people are watching this, and seems to be a very organic a word of mouth about it, because that was something that when I first saw it, I fell in love with it instantly. As soon as I saw it, I was like, this is one of my favorites of the year. And I was like, people are not going to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been gratifying that people are in fact watching it. So
yeah, I talked to someone who watched a screener and they got lost.
Okay.
And I buy that. I think if you are able to be distracted from this movie, it is understandable to get a little lost. I think it deserves your focus.
You need to pay attention to Margot Robbie when she's in a
bubble bath. Margot Robbie in a bubble bath explains a lot of the complicated terminology and yeah. But and then I'll say too, as long as I'm thinking of it, this movie and then Joy, there's something I like / have a really difficult time watching, where there are movies where you know the person's right.
Sure.
And you know they ultimately succeed, but you have to watch the story and see them be continually doubted and fought against. And I'm just sort of, it's just a fascinating thing to me, because you're like, what if they had just been like, you're right. Like, I'm going to go bankrupt. Like, you're right. Like, I'm bankrupting other people potentially through my decisions.
Right.
But these people that stuck to their guns, true stories, because they believed in what they were doing, and you knew it was going to turn out. But in the moment, they didn't. Like, I find tales like that very fascinating and compelling.
Totally agree. I think I said this before. I downloaded the audiobook to my phone, like, as I was walking out of screening.
Yeah.
And I started listening to it on the drive home, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how much I loved it. So
nice.
Yeah. And that was your
8.
That was your 8. Okay, my number 8 is Straight Outta Compton.
Nice.
So it landed a little bit higher for me than you, but I think we both really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's funny, as you said, Straight Outta Compton. I was about to start singing the lyrics to it and realized there was like 8 words I couldn't say on this podcast.
Yeah, it's, you know, it really surprised me, really engrossing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see F. Gary Gray really get some publicity, because he's been one of these very dependable directors for a long time. And, you know, he's doing the next Fast and Furious movie. So I guess that's Universal rewarding him for how well Straight Outta Compton did.
Right.
So that's my number 8. What's your number 7?
Number 7 for me was Spotlight.
Nice. Which
is a true story about these reporters at the Boston Globe and how they uncovered the child molestation scandal that was going on within the Catholic Church. And this was a movie that I was aware was coming out, and, you know, just sort of the heavy subject matter, I was sort of like, you know, if I see it, I see it, kind of a thing. And then, you know, just sometimes you're just not in the mood for something so heavy, especially when it's true.
Sure.
But man, this is a great movie. It's really, this is not an original thought. I've seen it said plenty of other places, but it's kind of like All the President's Men.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is like where it's a procedural. You know, there's no car chases, there's no sex, there's no whatever. Like, this is like how journalists begin a story and how they best execute what they're trying to accomplish. And that's what I appreciated most about this movie was it really gets into them. Okay, we know this. Now, what do we do with this? Like, what's the greater aim? Because like if we start this story now and we put it out, then it kills what we could potentially do down the road, which is much bigger. You know what I mean? And so then, all the fact checking and there's just so many. I found all this stuff gripping. I could see where a lot of people would feel it feels more like I don't know what's the word. I saw someone call it a TV movie.
Sure.
And I get it because it feels maybe like, you're not seeing money on screen. Let's put it that way. But at the same time, like this movie is so interested in accurately portraying what it's like to try to uncover and report something this on this scale and what it means to a town, what it means to these people personally. I just found it incredibly engrossing. I
think for me, first of all, amazing ensemble.
Oh man, yes,
the
acting is fantastic,
from stem to stern, and Michael Keaton is fantastic in this. I actually liked him better here than in Birdman last year. It's not as showy a performance.
Totally.
But this performance played to his strengths as just somebody who can be likable and driven at the same time, Yeah. Liev Schreiber, terrific in this.
Oh yeah. Everybody in this movie is like on their A game, and they all make it look effortless. Like these are just like top-notch actors, top-notch acting.
Yeah, and Mark Ruffalo, of course, is really good. I have a little anecdote about this. Is that I posted my review of Spotlight a couple months ago at the Huffington Post, and I was very laudatory about it. And I got an email a couple of days later from Sasha Pfeiffer, who is the reporter who in the film is played by Rachel McAdams.
Ah.
The real Sasha Pfeiffer. Yeah, the real Sasha Pfeiffer. She emailed me. She said, "Hi, Zachy. Read your review. It was great. Thank you so much for the nice things. By the way, you misspelled my name and also Robbie's name and also Mike Resendez's name. So in other words, all three of the main characters, and her and Michael Keaton, the character he plays, and Mark Ruffalo, the character he plays. Clean sweep." So I was like, well, this is incredibly awkward.
That sucks, but that's kind of cool. Right?
Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. No, that's I was gonna say one more thing, but I don't know if I can. It's like, there you go.
What I will say about Spotlight is that the movie ends, and the feeling I had is that. And by the way, we at the San Francisco Film Critic Awards a few weeks ago, we gave Spotlight Best Picture, and this was I was lobbying for the film, and the point I made was that what it really conveys is how journalism is shitty and horrible, and the pace sucks, and you're alienating people, and your family doesn't see you, and everything else. But at the end of the day, it's a noble profession, or it can be. It can be.
Right.
There's and the movie ended, and I wanted to be part of the Spotlight team.
Right.
Yeah. And above and beyond the reporting, I wanted to have that camaraderie with these people, and just that's what I felt. And I don't often feel that way watching a movie, so I was very cognizant of that feeling I had. And
I would say that's another reason why this movie is so great, is because you don't really get into these characters' personal lives much, right? So but what it does at the same time, though, is you completely understand them. It gives you just enough, like you said, to understand their camaraderie, and much like what was the movie I was just talking about, The Martian. Like, there's no dumb guy, and there's no hard-nosed boss who's like, get your act together, Johnson. You know what I mean? Like, they all respect each other, and they're all good at what they do. They disagree, they have differing opinions, but they're all good, and they all respect each other. And it's really, really well executed, I thought. And I wanted to talk about another thing, but I guess maybe it'd be getting a little too detaily. But I just thought, again, for not going as deep into these characters' lives, like, you don't really get to know their families or anything like that, they do still do enough to help you to understand who these people are. And I thought it's just a really well written, well acted, well directed movie.
Yeah, I concur.
Yeah.
So that was your
7.
number 7. My number 7 is The Martian,
Nice.
which we've already talked about, so I won't get into that again. But
Well, if there's anything you want to add.
it's good.
All right.
I will say we had there was a thing on Twitter a couple weeks ago that was like film premise in 5 words or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it was bad bad plot summaries or something like that. And so my thing for The Martian was Will Hunting starts a potato farm.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
And I was actually surprised because that tweet ended up going viral and it got retweeted and shared like a bunch of times. So I was like, oh, okay, that's my
Nice.
my little piece. That's my little piece of Martian glory.
Yeah, my little contribution.
There you go. Exactly to the body of conversation about that film. What was number 6 for you?
Number 6 for me was a movie called Victoria. And we haven't talked about this. I've been eager to talk about this movie, actually. I heard on another podcast, which I'll call it /Filmcast, and they were talking about this movie called Victoria, and they were just singing its praises. Now, what's unique about this movie is it was all shot in one shot. And, we've heard of this before. I mean, as far back as Hitchcock with Rope. And a lot of times they sort of disguise the cuts, or even with Birdman, last year. And but this movie was literally shot in one shot, and it's almost 2 hours and 20 minutes long. And so immediately you're like, well, okay, like cool, it pulled the gimmick off, right? Like to actually be a good movie, it needs to warrant having no cuts, and it needs to not only do that, but it needs to still be a successful story. You can't make excuses for it to support its gimmick. And I was really pleased that this movie totally supported itself. I thought the story totally supported itself, but also the having no cuts actually amplified the story, because and here's the thing. When I first heard about this movie, they were really fiercely protective of not spoiling the story, because obviously as this takes place all together, it's kind of about what unfolds that makes it interesting.
Sure.
But I won't go further than this is what the IMDb summary is, and then I'll go with this. It says, a young Spanish woman who has newly moved to Berlin finds her flirtation with a local guy turned potentially deadly as their night out with his friends reveals a dangerous secret. And so when the movie starts, you literally start in a nightclub, and she's dancing, and you watch her for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then she, meets these guys. The camera follows her upstairs. She's walking with them. We spend time with them. They go up to a rooftop and talk. Again, this is like no cuts. So you're experiencing not only what this character is experiencing, but what this actress is experiencing. And then these people, you're like, well, they seem all right. And then you start to kind of doubt them, but then you're like, no, actually, this guy seems okay. But then like this dangerous element gets added, and it's supposed to be like, hey, can you just help us with this thing? And of course, things go wrong. And all of that plays out in real time. So you are literally on the journey with this girl as she's going through what she's going through, and you watch her journey. I mean, if her hair gets messed up, it's not because some makeup artist messed up her hair. It's because she just went through some crazy thing that the camera followed her with, starting all the way back with she was happy at this dance club by herself. And I feel like that really is what elevates this story and makes it something unique and special. And I was really into this movie. I think a lot of people are going to maybe struggle with the first 20 minutes because it does have to, she's supposed to build a bond with these people, and she has to build it in real time. There's no cuts. There's no montage to show they're building a bond. They have to actually build a bond. And I felt like it succeeded. And then of course, when the dangerous elements come in, it's really interesting. So I'd be curious if people check this movie out, I would love to hear what other people think about it. As far as I'm aware, it is available for streaming now. For a time, it was only available on iTunes for rent, but now I guess it's on Amazon Video and whatnot for rent. So, really, really enjoyed this movie a lot. So number 6 for me was Victoria.
Victoria. Okay. Well, my number 6 is Steve Jobs.
Nice.
Yeah, and this is it's a showpiece for Michael Fassbender, who looks absolutely nothing like Steve Jobs, sounds absolutely nothing like Steve Jobs, but becomes Steve Jobs.
Uh-huh.
And it's Danny Boyle does an amazing job directing. Obviously, I'm an Aaron Sorkin fanboy, as you know, so I just lap up his scripting. And I was disappointed that this didn't do better, but in hindsight, I'm not that surprised it didn't do better.
In hindsight, yep.
Yeah. I initially I think there was a little bit of buzz, but I think that was more among like film nerd people.
Sure.
Than average people. But nevertheless, I do hope it kind of gets rediscovered, because I think it's a very rich character study, and I think it's very richly rewarding in a way that, for example, the previous Steve Jobs movie from a couple of years ago was not.
Mm-hmm.
Which I find fascinating in and of itself, in that this only depicts 3 specific events in his life, and yet you feel much more knowledgeable about his character and personality than in a film that sort of purports to show his entire life.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's number 6. What was your number 5?
Number 5 for me was Ex Machina.
Oh, okay.
Which was another kind of surprise for me. I guess it shouldn't be surprising, because anyone who knows me well knows that I like movies about robots.
Sure. Automatons.
Yeah, going all the way back to Short Circuit 2. And I just, the premise of this one being
which
again,
really, this is sort of the spiritual successor to Short Circuit 2, really.
In you know what? Oddly, it kind of is, because I rewatched Short Circuit 2 recently, and it's about a robot that just wants to be recognized as a person and live its life. And anyway, so this is a young programmer selected to participate in a groundbreaking experiment in artificial intelligence by evaluating the human qualities of a breathtaking female AI. And this stars Alicia Vikander and General Hux and Poe Dameron.
Right.
So no, Domhnall Gleeson and Oscar Isaac are in this. And this was a movie where I knew the premise was kind of cool and intriguing and something I thought I would dig. And I was really impressed with how this movie doles out its mystery. It's tension, and it's you got the Domhnall Gleeson plays this programmer who's summoned to a Steve Jobs-esque person's house, which would be crazy and mysterious on its own. But not only that, this guy has created a beautiful female robot who they want to see if she can pass for being sentient, actually sentient. And at first it's kind of fun, and then it's kind of flirty, oddly, between the two. And then it becomes sort of, there might be some sort of mysterious element that's intriguing and dangerous. And just the way this whole movie is just sort of plays out, I thought it was really, I had no idea where it was going next, and I was always interested as it went there. And then of course it all, culminates in something pretty thrilling and exciting and difficult. And I really walked out of this like, man, that was a pleasant surprise. So
yeah, and if you haven't seen it, it's almost like let's leave the plot out there and let's not reveal it, because I think it is one of those things that's best discovered. But what kind of a year has Alicia Vikander had, right? I mean, she just kind of came out of nowhere, it feels like.
Yeah.
And she turned in 3 very solid performances. There's Man from U.N.C.L.E., which you mentioned, and she's terrific in The Danish Girl.
Right, which I haven't seen.
And I wasn't crazy about the movie overall, but I thought she was really good in it.
I've heard that. I've heard exactly that, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so that was your number 5?
5.
My number 5 was Mad Max Fury Road.
Kaboom.
Yeah. So I waited 3 decades for this movie, just about 28 years, because 1987 is when I saw Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And you know me, Brian, I'm a huge George Miller fan. I'm a huge Mad Max fan. So I was gratified that this is one of those rare instances where a sequel, a long-awaited sequel, revisitation of a franchise by a director named George was not a disappointment.
Why'd you have to say that when I just took a drink? That was funny.
This is the year of the. I saw this term online. I wish I could remember who, so I could credit them. But the legacy sequel.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
And Jurassic World is certainly part of that continuum, as is Creed, which you mentioned, and Mad Max Fury Road, absolutely. Where it's spiritually it's a reboot, but it's meant to be a continuation.
Yeah,
and that's certainly this one.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I might add to this later.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So to be continued. What's number 4 for you, Brian?
Number 4 for me, even to my surprise, was Inside Out.
Oh, okay.
Which, when I first saw it, I think here was the problem when I first saw Inside Out, which of course is the Pixar movie about all the emotions living inside this little girl's head. The first time I saw it, I heard, this movie will change your life. And so I went in like, well, I'm
ready to be changed.
I'm wearing my new sweater. Like, I am ready to have my life changed. And I was like, yeah, that was good. That was really clever. That was good. I don't feel the same. And it was kind of unfair, to go in with that. And I completely recognize that it was a really well done movie, very clever movie, very fun movie. But I am glad that I went back and revisited it months later, actually, watching it with a friend, only because she hadn't seen it and we had a screener of it. And I was like, let's pop it Inside Out. And man, I was bowled over. It's crazy. Having already seen it the second time, I found myself hiding my face because I was tearing up. As you know, get me tears. It's going to make my top 10 list. And I just was like, this is such a crazy concept that they absolutely nailed.
Sure.
And to have these 5 emotions realized as these characters, and to actually give each one their due, and to not only do that, I mean, you could have sort of like the lighthearted version of this movie and still have it kind of be fun and bouncy and clever. Right. But the realizations, and again, it's so funny. It's spoiler culture. You know what I mean? It's like you feel like you can't say anything without spoiling anything. But I'll say, the main characters of this movie are Joy, the character of Joy, and the character of Sadness. Right. And their interplay is at first fun, and then it's just incredibly poignant. I mean, just as me, as an adult, like what this movie is trying to say about joy and sadness and how they can coexist. Right. And that's not
the ways in which they coexist.
Yeah, in ways they coexist, and that's okay. And if this movie doesn't win Best Original Screenplay, then I really don't know what else can even compete with this for Best Original Screenplay.
The one aspect of the movie that I really enjoyed was Richard Kind as Mr. Bing Bong, right? Bing Bong, is that his name? I mean, if there's a moment that nearly got to me, it would probably be involving him.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And without revealing anything, but
yeah, it's funny because I almost want to get into spoilery aspects of this to explain even more why I liked it so much. But I mean, I don't think I'm surprising anyone by saying Pixar made a great movie. So
yeah. Well, although I gotta say, I watched The Good Dinosaur a few weeks ago, and they should have called it The Mediocre Dinosaur.
yeah.
Or just The Dinosaur.
It felt like a decent Disney movie rather than
they should have taken the Pixar name off of it.
It was fine. It's nothing special.
Right.
But it had some nice moments for sure. But
that's what you want from a Pixar movie. Couple seconds of
like gut wrenching tearfulness.
There you go. What else, right? So Inside Out was number 4 for you. Mm-hmm. I have another feel good movie for my number 4, which is Sicario. Yep,
which I just watched actually like 2 nights ago.
Oh, okay. So I think what I said when I watched Sicario initially is that you feel like you need to take a shower afterwards.
It's very true.
You feel it under your fingernails like soot.
Yeah.
This is not a feel-good movie at all. Zero.
No.
It will make you feel horrible about yourself and everybody in your life. And that's why I loved it, man.
Yeah. We got to feel that way sometimes. No, you're alive.
Occasionally, exactly. No, I love this movie. First of all, the performances are just fantastic. Emily Blunt is so good, but even more so and I'm very glad to see Emily Blunt really get like a showpiece role like this. Mm-hmm. But Benicio del Toro just owns this thing.
Yeah.
he's magnetic, and you want to know about his character. His character is this kind of mysterious figure who flits in and out, and you don't really know where his loyalties are. The movie itself is about the CIA's attempts to influence, the cartels in Mexico and sort of what's going on, the back and forth there. Mm-hmm. But just it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, who did Prisoners, mm-hmm. and it's the same kind of movie. But I think, in my opinion, it's superior to that in subtle ways.
Yeah,
I think in overall in the way it made me feel and engrossed me. The final scene with Benicio del Toro's character, I mean, holy shit! That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well, and also, what was a great scene was the convoy.
Oh yeah,
at the beginning when they're transporting the guy that they have, and it's on they're like in the freeway, entering Mexico, correct? Mm-hmm. And then it's
and then they're bringing him back.
Flanked. They get flanked, yeah. And I'm sure that's in the trailer, but it's just executed. Oh, that was when it hit me. I was like, this movie isn't using shaky cam,
right?
I was like, this guy's making a movie. Like he's actually staging this, and there's actual tension here, and this director has a vision. He didn't just point a camera a couple times and cut it together. Like, excellently directed.
Yeah. So big thumbs up for Sicario.
Yeah.
What's number 3 for you, Brian?
Number 3. I'm gonna tip my hand a little bit for my top 3 here. This is where I say that these are the movies that I had the best movie going experiences with, because is Spotlight better executed than some of these movies? Yeah, maybe. But these are the movies that I just freaking love this year. Number 3 for me was Mission Impossible 5, Rogue mm-hmm. Nation. I just freaking love this movie, man. Like,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, maybe I've seen it like twice, but I saw it twice, which again, I say I don't do too often, even though I'm kind of contradicting myself here with some of these movies on this list. But, I just feel I love the Mission Impossible movies. We've said on the podcast before, we tend to like Tom Cruise movies, but this just felt not like another Mission Impossible movie. Like, oh, well, and then they have the thing where they do the opening, and then they have the thing where he gets the message or whatever. Like, somehow, for being the 5th movie, this didn't feel like a retread. It felt fresh. And it felt like an exciting new spy movie. And I think a lot of that came from, Christopher McQuarrie wrote a great script. He directed it really well. And then also there was this great character. You had returning people, Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, but you also had Rebecca Ferguson playing a new character who was introduced, who was, speaking of like strong female characters this year. I mean, she was just really injected some interesting new aspects and life into this world or this series. And, I don't know. It just felt like a whole fresh, cool, fun experience for being the 5th of this franchise, and I dug the crap out of Mission Impossible 5. So
yeah, I'll go along with that. It's a very solid film, and Rebecca Ferguson will be back for the next one, at least based on what we're hearing right now.
Yeah, which is saying something. Is she'll be the only female character to return
ever
in a Mission Impossible film. Yeah,
very true. So that was your number 3. My number 3 is Creed. Which we've already talked about, but
it's not the one I was talking about. It was the documentary about the band.
This is by Scott Stapp.
Yeah, good for him.
Now this is another Legacy sequel, and I think it tells you something interesting that within the span of a few weeks, we have 2 movies that are the 7th entries in a franchise that carry on by passing the torch to a new generation while trotting out the senior citizen character. Who was young when the series first started. And, of course, Star Wars came out just a few weeks after this. But big fan of Creed. And I'll just, if you missed what I said earlier when Brian was talking about it, just go back and listen to that. Number 2, Brian. Number 2.
It was a little indie picture that came out this year called Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, I know what you're thinking, people. We've talked about a lot of the plot holes. We've talked about a lot of the things we'd like to do different. Major events in this movie that we still feel like we wish could have been done differently. But if I'm being completely honest with myself, I the experience of this movie is kind of unrivaled. And for all that I wish had been a little bit differently, there was much, much more that was done right. And that reminded me of what it was like to enjoy watching a movie like I did when I was young. And I can't deny the movie that. And again, that's not even making excuses, because I like this movie a lot. And I've seen it 3 times now. I know I'm probably going to see it again. Yeah, this movie is a blast. I think it was a great. It's funny as I'm talking about it, I'm like, how much more can we say about this? It was great having what they kept from the previous films with the old characters, but they also did a great job introducing new characters that I'm excited to see where they're going. There's really nothing quite like this movie going experience this year. So number 2 for me, Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
There we go. Well, my number 2 is something very similar. It's The Big Short.
There you go.
Which we already talked about, and I felt like a kid again watching the financial crisis. But yeah, basically everything that we talked about earlier, I think it's just a fantastic movie. So that's why I have it up here at number 2 for me.
Nice.
And what's your number 1 for you? I'm surprised. Now Star Wars is number 2, so I'm very curious. What is number 1 for you?
Number 1, never would have imagined over a year ago, Mad Max Fury Road.
Wow.
Easily my number 1. If people, again, longtime listeners of this podcast will know, I had never seen any Mad Max movies not that long ago. And I couldn't understand why Warner Brothers was hedging their bets so much, or doubling down, I should say, so much on a Mad Max movie. I thought that was insane. Huh. Then Zachy was kind enough to buy me the Blu-rays of all the existing Mad Max movies. I caught up. I enjoyed them. And I was like, okay, let's see this. I get the universe. Let's do this. And this movie, action movies are going to have a hard time standing next to this movie for a long time, I believe. I mean, you could argue that Max isn't really that great of a character in this movie. Tom Hardy just kind of grunts his way through this movie. And you know what? It still works because you've got Charlize Theron, who is probably the most kick-ass like action heroine, or I'll just say action hero overall in a long, long time. You have action sequences with the aid of CG that you would never notice. You know, mostly these practical, crazy car chase sequences that are just mind-blowing. And I've seen the movie, I want to say maybe 3 times. I just don't get tired of watching them. I continually am in awe of them. And again, it doesn't just feel like you're looking forward to the next car chase. Like there's actually a story going on here that I really enjoyed. You have Nicholas Hoult in the movie playing a defector of the villain of the film who gets caught up in the chase, who's a really compelling and interesting character. This movie's just got it going on in every way. And I just really, really loved Mad Max Fury Road. So that's my number 1 movie of 2015.
There we go. And as for me, my number 1 is a movie we discussed earlier, and that is Spotlight.
Spotlight.
I enjoyed it for all the reasons I already discussed, so nothing more to say.
There you go. There you go. Hey, man, we did
it. We got through it, and I think this is the most efficient way we've ever done it.
I kind of agree.
So I guess we've set the template for future best of the year episodes.
Yeah.
Moving forward. Well, that wraps up this episode, and a little bit supersized, but what the hell? We had to, it's warranted, I would say.
Let's talk about.
Lots to talk about, exactly. And we will have lots to talk about next time as well. So hopefully you will join us then. Also, I just want to give you the heads up that very shortly I will be launching a brand new podcast, and it is called Nostalgia Theater, which if you follow my blog, Zachy'sCorner.com, you'll know that Nostalgia Theater is a feature that I've been running on my site, and every Sunday morning I post about some pop culture artifact and whatnot, and just kind of usually something that I remember from my childhood and just discuss it for a couple paragraphs. And it's something I've been doing for almost 4 years now. And it occurred to me, I'd love to talk to some of the people involved in these things. And so I've been very lucky. I've been sort of banking interviews over the past couple weeks. And so this will be a semi-regular podcast launching very shortly. And we'll initially launch it in the movie film stream. So if you subscribe to the Movie Film Show, you'll also get the first episode of this. But I will be pimping that a little bit. So do keep an eye out for that. That's going to be coming very soon.
Very cool.
But as we wrap things up, Brian, you know what, Brian? It's a new year. It's a new year, new me. New year, new me.
Yeah.
And so I've decided that I will no longer ask you about your Twitter activities.
Yeah, it's funny you should bring that up because I this is something we'd normally say off mic, but I found this piece of artwork that looks sort of Banksy-esque, where there's a silhouette of a man in a suit with an umbrella, and he's hunched down in the corner of the canvas holding the umbrella over his head, and there's a little Twitter bird above him, and I was going to forward it to you. And just call it me, ... But,
you should have tweeted that. See, that would have been.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been ironic. Too late.
Yeah.
But anyway, I am on Twitter. I don't use it very often, at Everything Brian. But the place that you will most find me active these days is writing for the Bob's Burgers comic book, which you can find online and at your local comic book shop.
And there we go. So do keep an eye out for that. As for me, as I mentioned, you can find me at ZakisCorner.com. That's ZAKIS Corner. I'm also at the Huffington Post, where my movie reviews and interviews go up regularly. Do keep an eye out for Nostalgia Theater, the podcast. That's coming soon. And hit us up at iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio. We're everywhere. As you heard earlier today, we do have some new reviews. So if the fancy strikes, you like what we're doing, please write us a review. Leave us a star rating. Let us know how we're doing. If you want to hit up our Facebook page, that's facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, or you can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. I think that's it, right, Brian?
Nice. Yeah, I think so.
Went through the whole gamut there. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll have lots to talk about. We may even have a special guest. We'll see. But regardless, on behalf of my co-host Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been the Movie Film Podcast. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast.